Hello everyone, in today's video I'll be discussing about my thoughts of the Liberators from Arifureta From Commonplace to World's Strongest. As part of the lore of Arifureta, I find the Liberators, to my opinion and impression and my thoughts about them, are most legendary characters ever. They are the most legendary characters of the world of Tortus because they were heroes to make a world of difference, so that way the people of Tortus can live much happier with their own free will. And because of this bloodshed war that has been taking place for centuries after centuries in the world of Tortus, everyone is killing each other. Well, because of course Ehit is using the people of Tortus as a game of chessboard of war for his own amusement, using people as pawns actually. The Liberators are there to try and stop that actually. They want to make a world of difference so that way no bloodshed will happen again and again in the future. People can live freely, happier and socialise with each other. And that's the goal and dream of each member of the Liberators. But in fact it was one person's dream that wants to make it in a reality. And that is Minidi Ryson. Minidi is actually the leader of the Liberators. And in my opinion, I find her the most intriguing and interesting and the most joyous character to see on the prequel series. Before she became a leader of the Liberators, Minidi had a very dark and sheltered life existence actually. But after meeting a woman named Berta, her life actually turned around and became more bright and happiness and cheerfulness for the first time in her life. But that's a subject for another time. The one thing that Minidi and the other 6 powerful members of the Liberators have got, what they possess actually, is ancient magical abilities. Ancient magical abilities that they have from the age of the gods. Minidi's, on the other hand, is gravity magic. And the names of these characters who have ancient magical abilities are as follows. Oscar Orcus, who has creation magic. Mayo Milson, who has restoration magic. Nies Gruen, who has spatial magic. Lars Barnes, who has spirit magic. Lartinus Hortina has evolution magic. And Vandre Smee, who has metamorphosis magic. So these are the 7 most powerful Liberators who have ancient magical abilities from the age of the gods. Together, these characters, along with their companions of other members of the Liberators, they were ready to take down Ehit and the Holy Church, of course. But sadly, the Liberators have actually failed their attempts to kill Ehit after what happened to them when Ehit actually manipulated the people of Tortus. All the people that the Liberators were sworn to protect actually turned against them, and one by one they got killed on the very spot. After their initial defeat, the 7 remaining powerful members of the Liberators actually grouped together and discussed about their new plan of strategy. Because unfortunately they can't actually go up against a hit all by themselves actually, as a 7 members group, their new plan of strategy in mind was to scatter across Tortus to create these labyrinths. And each of one of these labyrinths have trials that you have to go through so that way you can complete the labyrinth. So that anyone who acquired the ancient magical abilities from these labyrinths and finally defeating the Ehit and end his reign of tyranny. In my opinion, I kind of like the idea of a rebellious group who want to take down the most evil antagonist character in the franchise of Arifureta. And I kind of like that actually. And even led by a girl named Minidi Ryson, who actually was a very dark, sheltered life girl at one time, now becomes a much brighter, cheerful and happier leader for this organisation group to actually take down Ehit and the Holy Church. And this is what I like about this piece of lore of Arifureta, with these characters and this rebellious organisation who want to overthrow Ehit, so that way they can make the world of Tortus a much freer world without any more bloodshed. But sadly in the end, well, after Ehit's manipulation, of course, to the people of Tortus to actually turn against the Liberators, it's kind of upsetting really, the fact that these characters, the 7 most powerful members, of course, who have survived, have to split up actually. And I've been looking through the manga adaptation of the prequel series, Arifureta Zero, and I was very much amazed by the backstory of the Liberators, of their story when it was taking place 2,000 years in the past. And what's really quite saddening to me personally, when they actually discuss about scattering themselves across Tortus to create their own labyrinths, these characters knew each other for some time actually. There are great relationships between Minnie Ryson and Oscar Orcus, and also there's great friendship between Male Milsin and Latinus Hortina. And I've been looking through the illustrations on the fan wiki site of the last and final volume of Arifureta Zero in the light novel series, and I see the illustrations of these characters ready to take down Ehit and the Holy Church. But when I come to the last and final illustration of the 6th volume of the prequel, I really kind of find it how saddening really that Minnie Ryson, who was once a human girl, has her soul been transferred into a golem, as shown in the 7th episode of the anime adaptation of the main series. The illustration just shows Minnie as a golem walking away from Oscar Orcus, who was also walking in the opposite direction. And I kind of find it saddening really, because these two characters have been together throughout this series at the very start actually, when Minnie first met Oscar at his orphanage. So what are my thoughts of the Liberators? Well, I kind of find them actually the most legendary characters actually, and this rebellious group, and I kind of like it. As I just said a moment ago, I really kind of like the fact that this rebellious group helped the people of Tortus and protect them against the Holy Church and of course Ehit's manipulation, this evil main antagonist god who wants to rule the world of Tortus as a game of chessboard of war for his own amusement. But it's kind of saddening to me personally that these characters have just got defeated, and then unfortunately they had to scatter themselves across Tortus and never see each other again. I know I will be talking about each member of the Liberators in the near future, such as Minnie Ryson and Male Milsin of course, but I just really find it quite upsetting that these characters had a strong bond relationship actually. And the fact they want to help out the people of Tortus and protecting them against the Holy Church and of course Ehit's manipulation, it's kind of heartbreaking to see these characters just being defeated actually. All their hopes and dreams and their goals to save the world of Tortus has actually been dashed. But the Liberators' downfall won't go in vain, because there is a legacy of one person who was summoned against his own will, along with his classmates and his teacher, to the world of Tortus. I'm talking of course the monster of the abyss himself, Hajime Nagamo. Now I know of course Hajime Nagamo is a very reluctant guy, and even though he's very reluctant to help the people of Tortus of course because of his own goal and dream to return back home to his world, but he does eventually help the people of Tortus actually, as we see many parts of the series, both the books and the anime adaptation, to help out these people against mortal danger or in crisis. And Hajime only done that because he doesn't want anyone to be unhappy. He wants to make people happy, like his female companions, that will be proud and happy to be with a guy that they actually fall in love with actually. But nevertheless, Hajime does make the world of difference. I mean, if you have read volume 12 and what is coming out later in a few days time, which is the very last final volume of the main series of Arifureta, is that Hajime Nagamo will eventually kill Ehit. And once he kills Ehit, he will actually save the world of Tortus. And Tortus has finally been freed by the evil tyrannage of Ehit's evil reign of tyranny and end this bloodshed war forever. So my final thoughts and discussion about the Liberators. I have to say that I'm very much intrigued by these characters actually, of their lives and their backstory. Ever since the fall of last year when I came across the manga adaptation, I was quite intrigued by these characters, of their backstory, their lives actually. And I was so excited when Arifureta Season 2 was on aired, and I'm so excited to see characters such as like Mayo Milsing and of course Lars Barnes, who are two out of the Liberators who have projections or spiritual forms of themselves at their labyrinths. Of course, we had the writing that was left behind by Nais Gruen, of course, in the Grand Gruen volcano. And of course with Season 1 with Minnie de Ryson as a golem, and of course Oscar Orcus again as a projection. These characters are just so legendary, and we only see them only once on a very short sequence in any episode of the show. But it's nice to get to know more about these characters. And looking at the prequel series in the manga adaptation, I was so intrigued by each member of the 7 most powerful Liberators that are featured in the prequel. I was so fascinated, and I really want to see the prequel series being adapted into an anime TV show. Well, good news on that, because of course there's an OVA around the same time that the last and final volume of the main series is coming out on the 25th of this month. And I'm so excited to watch the OVA of Arifureta. Not only we get to see Team Hajime with Hajime and his female companions, and along with Remia and Miu of course, but we're going to see 4 out of the 7 most powerful members of the Liberators, and that is Oscar Orcus, Minnie de Ryson, Nais Gruen and Mayo Milsing. And what is going to be so great about the OVA is that we're going to see the first anime appearance of Nais Gruen, as well as seeing Minnie de Ryson in her human form in the anime adaptation for the first time, as we have actually seen Minnie de Ryson before in the 7th episode of Season 1. And I really am excited to see both Hajime and his female companions and Remia and Miu interact with Oscar, Minnie, Nais and Mayo in the OVA, and I can't wait to see it actually when it comes out actually in a few days time, seeing the interactions of characters from both eras meeting for the first time actually. So yes, this is my discussion of my thoughts of the Liberators from Arifureta From Commonplace to World's Strongest. I hope you have enjoyed my discussion about my thoughts of the Liberators, but I will be doing future videos of some of the members of the Liberators as I just said earlier. So put your comments below to put your thoughts of the Liberators, or perhaps even put your thoughts about them when the OVA comes out in a few days time. So anyway, put a like and subscribe to my channel, and see you next time. Bye guys!